Sometimes when you use a gun in Call of Duty, you think to yourself, you say, hey, self, really? Really? Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to the page, everybody. COD history is back. We're going to be talking about those really moments. These are going to be the 10 absolute slowest killing guns in COD history. So, you let me know which of these you unfortunately used, and if you actually liked any of them, and you stand by that, I'd like to hear about it. Drop a like, turn on those notifications, and at number 10, let's slowly go through this. You see what I did there? The PM63 and Black Ops 1. Now, this is a gun that was brought back in Black Ops Cold War, and I really don't know why, because nobody asked for it at all. I guess there was a dev sitting at the table, and they were talking about making the game 2 years in advance. He said, oh my gosh, I'm a huge fan of the PM63, bring it back, and they did. It was an SMG in the original Black Ops that many thought was the worst gun in the entire game. It fired at over 900 rounds per minute, which is good, but the damage was abysmal. It often took 5 shots to kill. Plus, the recoil was bouncy, and the magazine was a pathetic 20 rounds, so you would constantly be reloading the thing and lengthening your time to kill. It was bad. The time to kill was already worse than other guns in the original Black Ops, and when you factor in that 20-round mag and the constant reloads, you have one horrible, slow-killing SMG. At number 9, the AMR9 in Advanced Warfare. This is one of my favorite guns to talk bad about. A burst SMG, it's a good idea in concept, but they almost never come together in a good way. It was a 5-round burst in Advanced Warfare, and I was excited. I mean, it could melt you at point-blank range, and if you hit all your shots, and there was that, and then if you weren't super close range and you didn't hit every single shot of the burst, there was that. It was bad. The damage dropped all the way down to 19 per shot. The time between bursts was way too long for a gun like that. Again, if you were right in front of a person and you hit every shot of the burst, you thought you had a god gun, but you had to have 100% accuracy. And as soon as you step back 10 feet, no. Yeah, I mean, the time to kill was beaten on almost every, or beaten out by every other gun in the game. It was a slow killing machine. At number 8, the VKM and Black Ops 4. Now, BO4 was a game with a longer time to kill already. So then you had an LMG that fired and handled this slowly. It's not popular. The VKM had a pathetic fire rate. It could kill in 2 bullets, but it could also take up to 4. And yes, the 4-shot kill doesn't sound bad in a COD game, but when you're firing under 400 rounds per minute, you can see where the issues lie. It wasn't a very good gun. I think it deserves to be on a list like this. Again, it was possible to get a 2-shot kill with it, but most of the time you were killing in 3 to 4, and that took too long with the long fire rate. At number 7, the Scorpion in COD 4. This is a gun that I talk crap about a lot too. I do that a lot. That's because it deserved it. It was one of the first SMGs you got your hands on back in COD 4, and nobody used it because it was awful in core game modes. It fired at a respectable 857 rounds per minute, but it hit for as low as 20 damage, and since you only had a 20-round magazine with no extended mags available, you were reloading all day long, putting 4 bullets into somebody without killing them. The time to kill in the Scorpion was bad. Now, I will give credit for it having no recoil, but it was still a crappy gun. The reload took forever. It didn't do any damage. The ammo capacity was some of the worst in an SMG in COD history. This is fair. At number 6, the Uzi in Warzone. Now, it had potential in standard Modern Warfare multiplayer, but Warzone, it's remained one of the least used guns ever since the game launched. Now, compared to other Uzis, the Warzone version fires slower, but it does hit a little bit harder, which is a nice and standard, multiplayer, but in Warzone, it's a pea shooter. It kicks, it bounces, it doesn't handle very quickly, and the damage per shot is low, even at close range. When the Uzi was floor loot, people would do their best to lab it out and figure out a good build, but it was to no avail. It's terrible. And there's actually one SMG in that game that I think is worse. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about what it is. 4, 3, 2, no. Number 5, the Striker 45 in Warzone. This is the version of the UMP 45, and the UMP was fan favorite, but there's a reason why you never hear about the Striker. Standard multiplayer, it's pretty bad. Warzone, it's almost completely unviable. The fire rate was low, the magazine was small, the damage was inconsistent. The time to kill on the Striker 45 is almost flat out embarrassing, and I honestly think it's the worst. I think it's worse than the Uzi. Most people say the Uzi is the worst SMG in Warzone, but I'm going to go with the Striker because it has a smaller magazine and even more inconsistent damage. Think about it. When's the last time you ever saw anybody running the Striker, even when it was floor loot? At number 4, the MK14 in Advanced Warfare. Now, in most other COD games, it's a 2-shot kill with a decent fire rate cap, but in Advanced Warfare, Sledgehammer decided to go against that grain and make it absolutely useless. Semi-automatic rifle, pretty low fire rate cap, still needed 3 to 4 shots to kill, and I asked myself seriously, why? Plus, you have to remember that AW was a very fast-paced game with people bunny hopping all over the place. They were changing direction mid-air, so you couldn't hit all your shots. The average time to kill on this was awful, and I absolutely think it's one of the slowest killing guns in COD history. Yes, in theory it was quick, but in practice and in the game they put it in, it was horrific. At number 3, another Uzi. I don't hate Uzis, but this one I do. Black Ops 1. One of my least favorite games of all time. It's often seen as one of the worst guns in COD altogether, and I do not disagree with that. This SMG fired very quickly, but it had some atrocious damage. The recoil sucked. The god-awful iron sights were god-awful, and the long reload animation, that was the cherry on top of the crap sundae. It was bad. Even if you hit all your shots at point-blank range, it was still outclassed by a list of other weapons, meaning it sucked even when it was being used as it was designed. Come on, Treyarch, why? It was awful. And for the amount of hit markers you got while using it and the amount of times you died after putting 4 bullets into somebody, here it is at number 3. At number 2, the M60E4 in Modern Warfare 3. Now, the M60 has appeared throughout COD history, and while it's never been a standout, this is the worst, which is why a lot of you probably forgot it was even in the game. Bad handling, took forever to aim down the sights, come out of sprint was horrible, the reload was horrible, the fire rate, it was 600 rounds per minute, which isn't horrible, but the damage was inconsistent. At point-blank range, yes, it would kill in 2 bullets. For mid-range and longer, you would need at least 1 more bullet in a game like Modern Warfare 3 where more bullets was something you did not want to use. It was one of the least used guns in MW3 because not only was it a bad gun on its own, but it was dramatically outclassed by everything else in the game. Did you ever see anybody using this? Be honest. And at number 1 today, the slowest killing gun in COD history, drumroll, the Holger 22 in Modern Warfare 2019/Warzone. Curveball. It's one of the most forgotten guns in Modern Warfare and Warzone because it was crap. The Holger is an LMG, was added to the DLC a little ways into the game. It did have some interesting handling traits, but the damage was bad. Now, for an LMG, it was very mobile. The reload animation was pretty quick, but when it comes to the damage and the time to kill, you just set it on the bench quietly. The damage on the Holger is low. The fire rate is nothing special, so when you mix those two together, you've got a gun that it's almost always going to be outclassed in every situation. It was accurate, which is nice, but it's one of the only guns in the game that doesn't have a barrel to extend the range, and it's one of the only guns in Modern Warfare that doesn't have an upper chest damage multiplier for some reason, so you're just going to be getting hit markers all day long. It was hot garbage in both multiplayer and Warzone, and if you ask me, it's the number 1 slowest killing gun in COD history. Let's see if that boils anybody. You guys let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.